The wedding was supposed to be the happiest night of Elena Carter's life. Instead, she was hiding behind a locked bathroom door, blood on her lip, tears running down her face, and her husband's voice waiting outside. "Come out, Elena." She covered her mouth to stop herself from crying. "You have 5 minutes." Then he whispered the words that made her realize she might not survive the night. "If you leave this room without me, I'll make sure your sister never sees you again." Elena looked at the cracked phone in her trembling hand. There was only one person she could call. A man she had abandoned 4 years earlier. A man every powerful businessman in the city feared. A man she had promised herself she would never contact again. Her thumb hovered over his number. Then she whispered through her tears, "Please save me." And when the Mafia Boss heard her voice, he stopped everything. The ballroom of the Rosewood Grand Hotel glittered beneath enormous crystal chandeliers. Hundreds of white roses covered the walls. Champagne flowed. Music filled the air. And in the center of the ballroom, Elena's younger sister, Sophie, was dancing with her new husband. Everyone was smiling, everyone except Elena. She stood near the edge of the dance floor in a stunning red evening gown. From a distance, she looked beautiful, confident, perfect. But underneath the makeup, Elena was exhausted. She had spent the entire evening pretending she wasn't afraid, pretending her husband wasn't watching her, pretending the faint bruise beneath her makeup wasn't there, and most importantly, pretending everything was normal. Then someone grabbed her wrist. Elena flinched. She didn't need to look. She already knew who it was. Daniel, her husband. He leaned closer with a smile that looked charming to everyone around them. "Why are you standing here?" "I just wanted to watch Sophie dance." Daniel's smile disappeared. "You've been standing here too long." His fingers tightened around her wrist. Elena quietly said, "You're hurting me." Daniel looked toward the guests, then back at her. "Smile." She forced one. "That's better." He leaned closer. "You have 10 minutes. 10 minutes for what?" "Bathroom." Elena's heart sank. "You're going to fix your face, come back and sit beside me." She stared at him. "And if I don't?" Daniel's expression remained perfectly calm. "You know what happens when you make me angry." Elena said nothing. Daniel released her wrist, then he walked away. To everyone else, he looked like a loving husband. He even stopped to congratulate Sophie's new husband. Elena watched him, and she remembered the first time she had seen that smile. 3 years earlier, before she knew what lived behind it. Chapter 2, The Man Everyone Trusted. Daniel Carter was the kind of man parents loved. He owned a successful construction company. He donated to children's hospitals. He wore expensive suits. He shook hands with politicians. And whenever someone asked about Elena, he smiled. "She has anxiety." Sometimes he would even sigh dramatically. "She has been struggling lately." People felt sorry for him. They thought he was a patient husband, a good man. But behind closed doors, Daniel was completely different. He controlled Elena's clothes, her phone, her bank account, her friends, even how long she could stay outside. And whenever she tried to fight back, he reminded her of one thing. Nobody would believe her, because Daniel had already built the perfect lie. She isn't stable. She exaggerates. She gets confused. She has emotional problems. And slowly, Elena started believing him too, until tonight. Tonight was different, because tonight Daniel had crossed a line even Elena couldn't ignore. Elena rushed into the restroom and locked the door. She looked into the mirror. Her lipstick was smeared. One side of her face was red. A tiny cut appeared near her lip. She touched it. Her fingers trembled. Then she heard Daniel outside. "Elena." She froze. "I'm fine." "Open the door. I just need a minute." Silence. Then, "You have 5 minutes." His footsteps disappeared. Elena stared at herself. 5 minutes. She had 5 minutes to decide whether she would go home with him, or finally run. She reached for her phone. The screen was cracked. She opened her contacts. Her fingers stopped. One name, Adrian Black. She stared at it. 4 years. 4 years since she had spoken to him. 4 years since she had walked away. 4 years since she had told him, "I want a normal life." Adrian had tried to warn her about Daniel, but Elena hadn't listened. She thought Adrian was too dangerous, too powerful, too surrounded by violence. She thought Daniel was safer. Now she understood how badly she had been wrong. Her thumb moved toward the number, then stopped. What if he hated her? What if he refused? What if? A loud knock hit the bathroom door. 3 minutes. Elena jumped. Her breathing became faster. She looked at Adrian's number again, then she pressed call. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. Then a deep voice answered. Who is this? Elena couldn't speak. Her tears started falling. The man on the other end became silent. Then, Elena. She closed her eyes. Adrian. His voice changed instantly. What happened? She tried to speak. Nothing came out. Where are you? My sister's wedding. Are you safe? Elena looked at the locked door. No. Silence, then Adrian asked. Is Daniel there? She whispered. Yes. Adrian didn't ask another question. Which hotel? Rosewood Grand. Which floor? Main ballroom. Where exactly? The women's restroom. Adrian's voice became frighteningly calm. Stay there. Adrian. Yes. Please save me. There was a pause, then he said. You shouldn't have had to ask. Elena started crying harder. How long? 11 minutes. 11 minutes. I'll be there in 11. The call ended. Miles away, Adrian Black sat inside a private office beneath one of his restaurants. 3 men stood around a table. One of them was in the middle of explaining why he had failed to repay a debt. Adrian listened silently. Then his phone rang. Everyone in the room stopped. Adrian looked at the screen. His expression changed. Elena, the woman he hadn't seen in 4 years, he answered. And when he heard her frightened voice, everything else stopped mattering. Adrian stood. Cancel everything. One of his men looked confused. Boss. Adrian grabbed his coat. I said cancel everything. What about the meeting? Tomorrow. The shipment. Handle it. And the man downstairs. Adrian looked toward the door. Let him go. The men exchanged nervous glances. Nobody had ever heard Adrian abandon business this quickly. One of them finally asked. Who called? Adrian stopped, then said quietly. Someone I should have protected years ago. 9 minutes later, black SUVs pulled into the hotel entrance. The ballroom doors opened. 6 men in black suits entered first. The music slowly stopped. Guests turned. Whispers spread through the room. Then Adrian walked in. Black suit. Dark shirt, cold expression. He didn't need to threaten anyone. His presence was enough. Daniel saw him, and the color drained from his face. Because Daniel knew exactly who Adrian Black was, everyone did. Adrian's eyes moved through the room. Searching, then he saw Elena. She was standing near the hallway. Her face was wet with tears, her wrist was red, and there was blood near her lip. Adrian stopped. For 1 second he said nothing, then he walked toward her. Elena. She looked at him, and something inside her broke. She ran toward him, but Adrian didn't immediately touch her. He stopped. Can I? Elena nodded. Only then did he gently place his coat around her shoulders. You're safe now. Daniel suddenly appeared behind them. What the hell are you doing here? Adrian slowly turned. Daniel tried to smile. This is a family matter. Adrian looked at Elena, then at Daniel. No. His voice was quiet. This is her decision. Daniel stepped forward. She is my wife. Elena's voice trembled. Not anymore. The ballroom went completely silent. Daniel stared at her. What did you say? Elena took Adrian's hand. I said I'm done. Daniel immediately changed his strategy. He looked toward the guests. She isn't well. Elena's heart dropped. There it was again, the same lie, the same excuse. Daniel shook his head sadly. She has been struggling with mental health issues for years. A few guests exchanged uncomfortable looks. Daniel continued. She stopped taking her medication. Elena stared at him. You're lying. Daniel sighed. See. He looked at Adrian. She does this when she's frightened. Adrian didn't react. Instead, he pulled out his phone. Interesting. Daniel's smile disappeared. Adrian tapped the screen. A recording began playing. Daniel's own voice filled the ballroom. You have 5 minutes. If you embarrass me tonight, you'll regret it. Elena looked shocked. Adrian had recorded the entire conversation through his security system. Daniel's face turned pale. Then Adrian played another recording. Daniel's voice again. Nobody will believe you, Elena. The ballroom became silent. Sophie stepped forward, her eyes filled with tears. Elena. Elena looked at her sister. I tried to tell you. Sophie whispered. I know. No. Sophie shook her head. I should have listened. Sophie shook her head. I should have listened. But Adrian wasn't finished. He looked at Daniel. You made one mistake. Daniel swallowed. What? You thought Elena was alone. Adrian handed Sophie a folder. Inside were bank statements, emails, property records, and photographs. Sophie looked through them, her expression changed. "What is this?" Adrian said, "Your sister's money." Daniel's face went white. He transferred nearly $4 million from Elena's accounts. Elena stared at Daniel. "You stole from me." Daniel immediately said, "You don't understand." Adrian interrupted. "She wasn't supposed to know." Daniel stepped backward. Adrian continued. "He planned to move the remaining money next week." Sophie looked at her sister. "He was going to take everything." Elena's eyes filled with tears. Then Adrian revealed the final piece. He also booked a private property 2 hours outside the city. Elena froze. "Why?" Adrian looked directly at Daniel. "Because if Elena disappeared after tonight, everyone would assume she ran away." Daniel said nothing, and that silence was his confession. Elena stepped forward. For years, Daniel had spoken for her. Tonight, she spoke for herself. "I believed you." Daniel stared at her. "I defended you." She wiped a tear from her cheek. "I lied for you." Her voice became stronger. "And you made me believe I deserved everything you did to me." Daniel shook his head. "You're being emotional." Elena smiled sadly. "No." She looked around the ballroom. "For the first time, I can finally see clearly." Sophie walked toward her, then hugged her. "I am sorry." Elena held her sister tightly. "I just wanted someone to believe me." Sophie cried, "I believe you now." Police entered the hotel minutes later. Daniel tried to protest, tried to explain, tried to call his lawyer. But this time, he couldn't control the story. There were bank records, audio recordings, financial evidence, security footage, and witnesses. The perfect husband was finally exposed. As officers took him away, Daniel looked at Elena. "You'll regret this." Elena didn't flinch. "No." She looked at Adrian. "For the first time, I think I'm going to be okay." Daniel was taken away. The ballroom slowly emptied, and Elena stood there surrounded by the flowers that had once represented her fear. Now they felt different. They felt like freedom. 6 months passed. Elena rebuilt her life. She opened a small design company, opened her own bank account, bought her own apartment, made her own decisions. She didn't become Adrian's possession. She didn't become dependent on him. She became herself again. But Adrian remained in her life. One evening, Elena found him standing outside her office. "You're early." "I've been waiting 20 minutes. She smiled. "That's new." "I don't like making you wait." Elena walked toward him. "Why did you come?" Adrian looked at her. "I wanted to ask you something." "What?" "Do you regret calling me?" Elena smiled. "No." "Even after everything?" She shook her head. "I regret waiting 4 years." Adrian looked away for a moment. "You were afraid of me." "I was. And now..." Elena stepped closer. "Now I know the difference between a dangerous man." She took his hand. "And a dangerous man who chooses to protect instead of destroy." Adrian smiled. "That's a dangerous compliment." Elena laughed. "Maybe." Then she looked into his eyes. "But I'm not afraid anymore." Adrian gently asked, "What do you want now?" Elena thought for a moment, then smiled. "I want a life where nobody tells me what I'm allowed to be." Adrian nodded. "And if I promise never to control it?" She looked at him. "Then maybe." She squeezed his hand. "You can be part of it." Adrian smiled, and Elena finally understood something. The woman who had once hidden behind a locked bathroom door was gone. The woman who had whispered, "Please save me," had survived, but she hadn't been saved because a powerful man arrived. She had been saved because, after years of fear, she finally found the courage to save herself. And Adrian Black, he had only been the man who answered the phone. The rest was Elena's victory.